Hello, good afternoon. This is Winston Wu, founder of Happier Abroad, and I'm with my friend Steve R. And we're here in Las Vegas, and we're going to do our first recording to put up on YouTube. And we're going to talk about how America is overrated and about American women and versus foreign women and topics like that, etc. So let me welcome Steve. It's good to have you.
Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about 20 benefits and advantages of foreign women versus Americanized women. And that can't be understated, and it's certainly being overlooked what Americanization has done to the dysfunctional dating situation for guys in America. But at first, I want to just mention how overrated I think America is and American women, and that's a whole nother conversation, each one of them. But I thought I would give an example of a place and make two different places a comparison. So let's take a place that is highly admired from a tourist point of view, and that would be San Francisco, and a place in Asia that I think would be a good comparison, and that would be, let's say, Bangkok. Okay, so I lived in the Bay Area recently. I've been to Bangkok recently. Okay, we can start it out with the public transportation. Okay, BART versus the MRT and the BTS in Bangkok. Okay, so last time I was on BART, I noticed just how filthy dirty it was. It was absolutely disgusting, and it made me wonder why I'm paying, yet again $5 to be on it. And but when I was in Bangkok, it was very modern, very clean, and I paid about 40 cents on average. Okay, and so in BART you don't get a whole lot in terms of what the fee is in return. They pay police, as demonstrated in one of their signs, paying them $70-something thousand a year, but yet with that fee that everybody pays and nobody questions, they don't even bother to clean the disgusting, filthy seats and floors of the BART system. Yet they go on strike, though, right? Anyway, so Winston, what do you think? Any other point that comes to mind between comparison?
Well, I thought what you said earlier was great. I mean, it summarized it up when you said in San Francisco you don't get cheap prices, you don't get to eat for cheap, you can't swim in the beach because the water's too cold, and you're not going to be able to approach women because they don't talk to strangers and are very guarded against that, and they hate being hit on. So
yeah.
You're not going to find a nice, friendly girl that wants to meet you there, and so. It's just like I said, it's just a charming city to take a photo of, and
yeah.
Everything's expensive, and it's not friendly by our standard.
It's not, and if you're an American and you've been there, a few hundred times, you should start to realize that, yeah, it's nice looking at the Golden Gate, Bridge, but if you're lonely and you've seen it, 300 times. What kind of benefit in terms of happiness is that really generating for you? I mean, oftentimes it's cold. Like, you're right. You can't go in the ocean like you can 2 hours away from Bangkok in Thailand. It continues to go up in price. Nobody can afford to live there. If you're not connected, you don't have connections from college or high school, you're out of the job market. You're an outsider. Good luck getting in, and who knows when that might take place. So how do you justify living there? But, it's a definite tourist trap, because if you go to Fisherman's Wharf, you see what they're charging. Restaurants, to go on a boat, they're just completely gouging and ripping people off. Whereas, a boat to the beach from Bangkok, a bus is completely reasonable, just like the public transportation is. As is the food. You can get, great meals for $1, no sales tax charged, for a fraction. Think about going on a date, which I did. It was really nice to spend a total of $3 on a dinner date in Bangkok. Imagine doing that in San Francisco. It's impossible.
And women are approachable there, right? Friendly, and how's the beach there? What was it?
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, the beach, the water's warm, the beaches are amazing, and I'm not even talking about Phuket. I plan to go there next time. But the fact is, I know the water's going to be warm there, and going in warm water with any number of dates, that are with you, that are obtainable, that are younger, that are sweet, petite, without attitudes, let me tell you, that's a dramatic difference. So, one of the things that I put together based on my most recent 2 trips is what I call Guys Dating Utopia, where somebody can earn a life-changing trip, me as their tour guide, and I will guarantee that that person's life will be changed forever if they're a single guy in America and they're among the 90% who simply haven't dated enough in their life. And so what happens to the average American man is that he goes on a dry spell for far too long. Then the first person that comes his way, he clings to, overvalues, and that person may not be even compatible. But I can tell you this, that person is probably going to be a lot older, have more of an attitude, certainly more Americanized, which we may talk about, in comparison to what, the kind of girls that he could be dating if he was smart enough to use a service that would actually change his life forever. What do you think?
Well, yeah, that's definitely true, and for me personally, I mean, it just doesn't feel like there's any point in going out in America. It doesn't feel fun, because it's like, if you don't already have someone, or you don't have your own family to go out with, I mean, there's no real way to meet people, because people just don't like to meet people in America. And it's just not natural, because they're paranoid of others, and it's just not comfortable trying to meet people in America. I mean, the best you're going to do is talk to some older men in Denny's or a diner or something. But, I mean, as far as young women, no way. I mean, they're way too guarded, too paranoid. They think they're too good for you, and they've just become more and more spoiled over the last few years. And it just doesn't feel fun, And then so in America, you just stay home or go shopping or go to work, and then afterwards you eat at home, and you don't go out and walk and do exercising, because it's just not fun. And then you gain weight, and then you get more depressed, and so it just snowballs and goes into a vicious cycle. Whereas in other countries, like when I was in Europe or Russia, for example, I mean, I'm sure Thailand's great too. I've never been there, but when I was in Europe and Russia, every day going out was fun, because I could meet women. They would be friendly. They would be open and curious and enthusiastic, and you can see that on my videos at Happier Abroad. And it's just a totally different matrix, and it makes me feel good every day to be able to go out and meet people and flirt with girls and hitting on them. And because flirtation in other countries is in most other countries is a positive thing. It's not a negative thing like in America. It's not creepy. It's not something that makes you bad, or it's not vilified like in the States. And I just think America is just like a lot of people told me. It's just there's just too much of a chasm between reality and the media hype. I mean, the media and the movies make America look so fun and open and free, and the girls are so easy to pick up on, and they're so open and flirtatious. But in reality, they're nothing like that. They're just so closed and paranoid.
Big difference between theory and reality. And I think most guys in America, they haven't opened their eyes because they don't know any different. So, there was a time where, women maybe in America, I don't know, a couple decades ago in the 70s, where maybe they went they were lonely, and maybe they hadn't been hit on in a few months. And so they were more grateful when that in fact did happen. Today, they're getting bombarded online dating. The guys are getting more and more desperate because they can't get out of the box, so they think they've got to use pickup artist lines and hit on them during the day. But what you find, and a lot of people don't seem to understand, is an extreme situation that we've gotten to already. Women don't want to, if you notice, they avoid eye contact. They don't want to be hit on, because what they instead prefer is to be able to choose when they feel like it. So they can hold out, because a 7 now thinks she's a 9, and she's going to hold out for at least a 9. And it doesn't matter if that guy's a player and he's just using her. But once she gets a player who's a real handsome top 10%, kind of tall, handsome guy, now her standards have raised, and she's not willing to go back down. So what she will do then is wait and hold out until the best 10% of good-looking guys, and if that guy comes along and she's ready, she's in between relationships, maybe she's been lonely, and all of a sudden now she won't maybe avoid eye contact with that kind of person, although the other 90% she will continuously avoid eye contact because she doesn't want to hit on and she wants to do the choosing. Okay, so I mean, it's just become so dysfunctional. But why don't we just kind of go into the 20 benefits and advantages of foreign women?
Oh yeah, I originally wrote that the key benefits of foreign women on my website, and I wrote 15 key benefits that are really important that explain key features that explain why foreign women are better, at least for from a man's perspective, than American women. And not to generalize, it's just my experience and that of many others, and it contains a lot of general patterns.
Okay.
But then my friend Steve Neese took that 15 points, and then he added 5 more to make 20 on his website. So we're going to go off of Steve Neese's version, which is the 20 key benefits of foreign women.
Well, let me speed this up, because if you were to cover it, you know it better than anybody. And you might take a little longer to kind of speed through it. So from my point of view, let me kind of speed through it. And okay, so basically, number one, they're much more feminine and proud of it. Okay, so I can clearly see they dress more feminine. They certainly act it. They're proud to wear skirts, etc. And basically in here it said that's different than American women, who find it oppressive and degrading because deep down, without realizing it, they don't really even like their femininity, and it's because instilled in them via conditioning. And I get that. They're programmed, not just from that, but to spend to be happy. That's another thing guys need to understand is Americanized women are programmed now that they have to spend and consume to be happy, which puts pressure. And that's not the kind of pressure that you get from women overseas. Okay, number 2, they appreciate and value men. Maybe you can talk about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at my videos, for example, I mean, even without going overseas, you can see that women have a different attitude in most other countries, and that they're not infested with this hatred of men. They don't think, men are creeps unless they prove otherwise. Whereas here in America, it's like they have this belief that men they don't know are creeps, and they have this very negative attitude toward men, and you don't see that in women abroad. And the key thing to remember about this is that if you've never left America, you think that the hatred women have here toward men and the paranoia are normal. But once you see how the rest of the world is not like that, how women in the rest of the world are not like that, you realize it's not normal at all, and that what we have here is very abnormal and dysfunctional. And that's very revealing, because it means that it's not your fault, because there's just something very wrong here. And they're just a lot more friendly toward men.
Yes.
And curious and feminine and just sweet, and that's how women have always been throughout history. I mean, the way women are in America, paranoid and unfriendly, is not normal. It's not normal. It's dysfunctional. It's never been like that.
No, it's never been like that. And absolutely, the word that you have to remember is it's dysfunctional. Okay, and number 3, they are more authentic, down to earth, appreciate and reciprocate kindness. Absolutely, they do, and they liberate men, psychologically, and set them free from insecurity. So, when you mention that, guys are getting, and it's noticeable, more and more desperate, because they're getting shot down everywhere they go, and they're scratching their head and wondering what is really going on. And you're not alone. If you're not in the top 10%, you're among everybody else that gets left out. You're not, 6'3", handsome. It's not even about money anymore. It's unfortunately coming down to looks far too much. And again, women holding out because they can. They think they're better than they are, and therefore they deserve practically a movie star, or certainly the top 10% of guys. So again, if a 7 thinks she's a 9, and she's going to hold out for better than a 9, that leaves out everyone else who is going on dry spells multi-year, not realizing they only live once. They only live their 30s once. They only live their 40s once. And I'm here to tell you, before I forget to say this, that when they get to 60, they're going to have the biggest regret of their life, and that is primarily that they didn't get out of the box, and they continue to accept this dysfunction and didn't think they can take control because they kept listening to what society's telling them that it's them, because they never got to see the big difference. So okay, so they definitely liberate that situation. They are usually thin, yes, much more thin than the most obese country in the world today, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you look at the photos and videos I took, I mean, like 99% of the girls outside are thin. You know, they're well dressed, they're feminine, they're sweet. I mean, they're all the things that women are supposed to be. I mean, you know, and they're so down to earth and easy to connect with, and to, you know, for men that matters a lot. And unfortunately, most men in America don't know this because it's taboo to compare things like this.
Well, hey, listen, I'm going to go into this list. I'm going to have a link from guysdatingutopia.info. I'll have a link to this. So for anybody that wants to look at, you know, more specifics, because we have a limited time here. But you just mentioned point 6, they're a lot more open. They find compliments number 7 flattering and charming. Okay, I mean, gosh, it's amazing. I dated somebody who had this giggle. You know, and it didn't take much at all to make her happy. And I would see her happiness giggles. To me, that was so incredibly feminine. It was so sweet. It was so attractive, so appealing. She was so down to earth. And just a simple compliment just made her so happy because she wasn't used to getting sincere compliments from guys, you know, in her country. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, once you get to experience that. Number 8, they tend to have better family and marriage values. I mean, we could certainly go into that. But you can see it on the website. Number 9, they need men. Number 10, even foreign women in industrialized first world countries are nicer. Okay, that's an important point. Beauty and brains, number 11, are the norm in women from Russia, Europe, China, and Latin America. Number 12, foreign women are easygoing, accepting, and non-judgmental. Now that's an important point, non-judgmental, because what I'm finding with American women is they talk a lot of trash to make themselves feel better. And I don't know about you, but that's not feminine. When women talk trash about people to feel better about themselves, or start shit at the office, you know, creating office politics, you don't find that with overseas women. You don't find it. And again, that is not feminine and not appealing whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe non-judgmental is the wrong word. Maybe I should say they're less judgmental, but it depends on which country they are, of course. They just don't judge you on such shallow standards, whereas, you know, most modern American women, they'll dismiss everyone for the smallest things. I mean, it's
yes.
just...
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3.
It's ridiculous.
It is. Number 13, they usually remain friends with their exes. I mean, you know, as opposed to what you wrote in here, and that is that...
Yeah, I took that off, but Steve left it in. But I thought this was a positive thing because in America, most women who dump their boyfriends or husbands, they never keep in touch. They never remain friends, even if they say they will. They just treat you like a total enemy, and they villainize you, demonize you, and even lie about you. And which is sad because usually, I mean, in the old days, you know, people could remain friends with their exes at least and not be so cold-hearted. And you know, with my girlfriends, the foreign ones tend to still be friendly after we break up. And some have remained friends, whereas, you know, the American ones just treat you like you're the enemy. They don't want to touch you.
Yeah, you're the enemy.
If you talk to them, they'll get a restraining order.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, I see that as a positive thing because they're not as cold-hearted and mean and just vicious and inhuman. Some guys spun that negatively because they didn't want their foreign girlfriends to be keeping in touch with their ex-boyfriends, you know. So some guys spun that into a negative thing, but I don't see it that way. I think it's positive because it means they're good people inside. Okay. Whereas in America, most modern women are just not good people inside.
Okay, well, number 14, they're less age sensitive. Now, I mean, I can't, you know, stress this enough. My first trip to Asia last year, okay, I'm 44. I dated, the youngest girl that I dated, and actually, you know, got physical with, was 19. And most of them were in their 20s. And they had no problem, probably didn't even think that I was 44. It never even came up. Most of them never even asked me how old I was. So, you know, I definitely lost some weight over the last 4 years, and maybe I look 5 years younger, but that's not really the issue. The issue is that it just wasn't that important to them. And so, imagine trying to date somebody 15 years younger in America or more. It's just not going to happen. Number 15, they're generally more mature, and their character. And that's an important one with character. A lot of them have not had it easy. They've had to overcome obstacles in a bad economy. And they haven't been spoiled and given everything they've ever wanted and used to having everything go their way. So, that's a huge character difference as well.
Yeah, I first noticed that when I was in Russia and Eastern Europe that, young women, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they just seem so much more mature and down to earth. It was just so easy to talk to them because they were natural and real, and whereas it's hard to explain. They were just so mature, so normal, so down to earth, so easy to connect with, and it was just so normal. So it seems like even young people are more mature and level-headed, and it just makes it a lot easier to talk to them because they're not.
Absolutely. Number 16, they're much easier to please. Now, this is extremely important because I think I mentioned it earlier. Many of my dates, I didn't spend a dime on my first date. And when I did, one example, the 19-year-old, it's like I wasn't expected to take her to dinner, but it was my choice to do something near the end of our date. And, I spent a total of $3, and she was as happy as can be, smile all the way through. And it wasn't this test to see how much money I was willing to spend. We're holding hands. She's smiling the whole time. She wasn't judging me. We enjoyed it. And I got to tell you, $3 sounds a whole lot better than the gamble of many American women that are just using you, for getting a free dinner. And if not, again, they're expecting you to take them to some fancy dinner to show how much, you're capable of spending on them. And is that really about romance and, sincere happiness, or is that conditional? I think that's pretty obvious. So easier to please, that's an important point, obviously. Number 17, they still believe in old-fashioned romance, right?
Right, because people here in the modern America are just too jaded and cold and hard to believe in romance. Even modern movies are not romantic anymore. There's no romantic music, romantic words or characters, and whereas in the past, they were very common and very romantic, and the music was. And yeah, people are just way overly practical. They don't believe in that anymore. But if you go to most other countries, there's still a belief in old-fashioned romance, So if you're a romantic guy like I am, that's really good news.
Well, number 18, they're generally more compassionate and empathetic. Absolutely. And when you say poor people are quicker than middle class or rich individuals to recognize the suffering of others and to show compassion, being able to empathize, put themselves in other people's shoes, appreciate a simple life, and how you can be happy when you have less. And that's a humongous difference right there between the two. And it just seems like women, who watch Sex and the City and all this other garbage reality TV, they're just way out of touch with reality. And, and their character certainly has been infected, no doubt about it. And, number 19, they're great homemakers. There's a difference there. They're more loyal. What is it? The divorce rate among marrying overseas women is what is it, 20% compared to 60 at least in America now?
Yeah, 50 or 60.
Okay, so almost triple, maybe the real
and
numbers.
Those are U.S. government statistics too.
Okay.
Steve Neese found them. So
okay, well, number 20 is nice guys finish first. Now we all know in America, nice guys finish last. It's looked at as weakness if you're being kind. So you got to have some kind of bad.
There's no value to being nice here in the dating scene. It's zero. Women.
You can't be yourself.
See it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be yourself. Okay, we all know confidence is important, but that's not enough. You can't be nice. You can be confident, but if you're nice, all of a sudden that gets, interpreted as weakness. And, wouldn't it be better just to be confident, but then be yourself? Be yourself, show your personality, your character. But instead, you have to project this image of this bad boy, and all you're doing is pretending. It's just, I mean, how is that going to last? Girls still say everywhere they want a lasting, long-term relationship, but if you've got to be phony from the very beginning, and then the real, your true self can't come out, or when can it? When is it allowed? When it's too late? I mean, that's just ridiculous. So anyway, we're at the pretty much
Definitely, yeah.
the 20.
Yeah, in other countries, I mean, in most countries, especially Thailand, even in Russia, being nice is a positive thing. I mean, it's appreciated, it's rewarded. I mean, for example, in the Philippines, if you're nice, almost pretty much 100% of the people will be nice back to you, and they'll reciprocate the niceness because they appreciate niceness. Nobody tramples on it or sees it as a weakness. I mean, that's just a very dysfunctional view. And that's the way it should be, because in America things are upside down. I mean, bad is good, good is bad, and my theory is that the reason women tend to like guys that have a bad boy image is because they're bad girls inside. They're bad women, and because
they've been tainted.
Really good girls are not going to like bad boys. It's the bad girls or the girls that want to be bad that like the bad boys, and the reason is because the reason bad girls don't like good guys or clean decent guys is because a good guy is like a mirror to them. It shows them how bad they really are, and they don't want to face that. So they'd rather go to a bad boy so they can be validated for it, and that's a sad reality in America.
Well, we've got many more things to say that we're gonna talk about in our next video. But one last thing we'll say on this one is that you had mentioned that there's no need for pickup artist books overseas like there is in America. Why is it that America you need this pickup artist help just to have a chance at getting a date? And again, like I said, the average guy in America is going on a, I don't know, in some cases 3-year dry spell, then settle for the first person that comes their way, overvalues that person, and if they, what would you prefer having? Many choices every day or one choice every 3 years? I mean...
Yeah, that's an important point, because if you're in Thailand, and you have all these friendly women around you, I mean, you have multiple dating choices every day. Whereas in America, you might have to wait years to find a woman that'll date you if you're a single guy, and it could be years, it could be never, and even if you find her, it could last only a few weeks. So you're always on this dry spell most of the time. Whereas in a place like Thailand or the Philippines,
Jakarta, or Philippines, or
you
Vietnam,
have so many friendly, sweet, feminine choices, and and to go back to that your other question, I mean you don't need PUA or PUA is the pickup artist community, and I think the reason there's PUA in America is because the women are so friendly and not approachable, and so society tells you to blame yourself rather than other people, and so men are looking at themselves thinking, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I able to pick up girls as easily as the culture says I should? And so they're looking for something they can control, like techniques. But in reality, you can't use techniques or formulas like you can to fix a car. I mean, you can't use that in the dating scene because, relationships don't work that way. You can't use a formula or a technique, but they just want to give you the illusion that you can control it by using formulas and techniques. And the thing is, it's all a false fallacy. It's all a scam, because in real life, I don't know anybody who uses PUA and can get women from that. I mean, it's pretty much all about, a combination of your looks and chemistry. I mean, if you're her type, then she'll notice you. If you're not her type, she won't. And even if you are her type, a lot of women in America just don't like talking to strangers in general. They only want to meet you if you're introduced by their friends or classmates or coworkers or whatever. Otherwise, they just don't want to talk to strangers. They
and don't they understand that there might be some interesting people they might be able to learn something from at the very least? I don't get that. What is up with that?
Well, they live in fear. They're not open. They're not curious. There's no curiosity in America, especially with women, toward new people. They just whereas in other countries, people are a lot more curious. If you're different or you're a foreigner, they want to talk to you. They want to get to know you. You can walk into a restaurant and talk to women sitting down or sitting alone, and you can't do that in America. It's taboo. It's not appropriate.
No, that's clear.
It's unwelcome.
And for guys that don't believe it, go ahead and try it and see what happens. But let's continue. Let's pick up where we just at that point on our next recording. So we're going to end this one here, and we'll pick up on that next time.
Okay. Well, thanks, Steve, for participating in this discussion. And for all you listening out there, I hope you learned something from it, and hope you found it inspiring. And to learn more, check out my website at www.happierabroad.com. Happier as in, happy plus IER, happierabroad.com. And I'm Winston Wu, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.